I've disassembled this 168mm differential and cleaned everything. It's very, very important to clean everything very nice. You don't want to put anything back dirty with debris on it, etc. So I've gone through and I've cleaned all the parts. You can see them laid out here. We have the carrier cap bolts, carrier cap. We have a small Belleville washer. Then we have a thrust washer. We have a large Belleville, a dog ear plate or a steel. We have a clutch, which is the friction disc. We have the pressure assembly all broken out here. This is what also is called the spider gears inside of it. And the opposite on the other side. Clutch, dog ear, Belleville, thrust washer, Belleville. So we're going to go ahead and put this back together. I'm going to give you some pointers on the way of how to put it together quickly, easily, and precisely. So the first thing we want to put back in is the small Belleville spring. This does go with a small diameter conical side. Small diameter side down, conical side up, just like that inside. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the thrust washer. This is really an oiling washer too. As you see, there's two recesses cut into it. This goes with the oil recesses towards the center assembly. Next item is the large Belleville spring. The Belleville spring goes with the small diameter down, large diameter up. So the large diameter is pushing against the dog ear plate. So we'll put that in. Next, the dog ear plate. And following that, we're going to put a clutch in. But before we put the clutch in, we want to properly oil the clutch. So I take a bag here, fill it with just a little bit of gear oil. Now, you can use one of the product bags or really any Ziploc type bag to do this. Just immerse it in oil here, coat it well. And I drop that in. Now it's important to do that because you don't want to start driving on a dry clutch disc. You want to have it somewhat lubricated before you start driving. So from there, we've got the clutch disc in. We're going to put the first part of the pressure assembly in. So this side is what slides on the clutch. We're going to put that down. Next, this gear. Now it's important to seat this gear so the clutch fits around in these splines. So you have to put it in and twist it and make sure that it falls down appropriately. Just like that. And a good test is always, can you spin it appropriately and is the clutch spinning? So there we go. Now we need to assemble our spider gears inside. And they assemble simply by taking the rod here and applying the two sides to them. So go ahead and put that in. Just like that. And now the other side. You build it the same way. Small diameter on the inside, large diameter on the outside, and then you flip it out and it sits in an X pattern in the middle. Just like that. We finish it off with this on top. We put the other side of the pressure assembly in, just like that. And now we're ready for the clutch on the other side. Once again, oil the clutch well. As you see, I'm wearing gloves. I always recommend wearing gloves when dealing with gear oil. You had to put the clutch in. We're going to put the ear plate on the top. And now the Belleville. Belleville, once again, large diameter towards the center section, small diameter towards the top. And we'll place the oiling washer, the thrust washer on the top. Oil recesses towards the center assembly, like so. And then the Belleville. The large diameter towards the center section, small diameter to the top. And now we are ready to put on the carrier cap. Carrier cap goes on just like so. There we go. Now it sits right down in there. Now it's important to make sure that everything's lined up inside, which in this case it is. If you have everything centered, it'll drop right in. So at this point, we're ready to go ahead and install the carrier cap bolts. And by hand, we'll just go in a cross pattern and we'll slightly tighten these down. Now it is important to tighten them down side by side because we would not want to crack the carrier cap. Additionally, because we're preloading it with that Belleville spring, we're going to spring it down as we go. Now we're going to torque to 30 foot-pounds. And again, I prefer to go in the cross pattern here, just to make sure we're tightening. As one final check, I go just clockwise around it. Obviously, this is optional, but always a good check to just make sure your torque specs are right. The last thing we need to do is just clean up any excess Loctite around here. We don't want that floating around. So just go through, clean it up a little bit. You see some kind of squeezes out of the carrier cap here and there. Not a huge deal. And there you have it. We have a 168mm unit rebuilt with new clutches ready to go back into the case.